Hello and welcome to BlueFig Longevity. So, what is longevity? Let me ask you, what do you think about when you think about your typical 85, 90, or 100-year-old person? Do you think about them working on a farm, working in a restaurant, or running a business? Or do you think about someone who may be laying in a hospital bed or living in a nursing home? Unfortunately, nowadays, most Americans that are older are in the latter category, laying in a hospital bed or living in a nursing home. But there's a new phenomenon in medicine called longevity, where it describes people living long time, but living active, alert, and vibrant. We also use the term healthspan instead of lifespan. Lifespan would be how many candles are on your birthday cake every year, but it doesn't tell you how well you're doing. It's the idea that you are living disease free and healthy and functional for all the years that you are on this planet. We think about people like we think about our cars. Our cars come with owner's manuals, and we know that if we want the car to last, we follow all that it says in the owner's manual, especially the maintenance sections, right? We make sure our cars are maintained with good quality fuels, good oils, make sure you get your routine maintenance like spark plugs and fan belts and everything else done on time. And if you do all those things, you know that the car will last a long time and it'll be functional well over 100,000 miles like it was when it was brand new. And that's the idea with longevity and health span, having humans live as long as they can, but being alert, active, functional, and vibrant. I've been taking care of patients for over 20 years. And when I started taking care of patients in primary care, I had the privilege of taking care of World War II veterans. I had a number of them that surprised me every time they came into the clinic of how well they were doing, how their blood tests were normal, and how their blood pressure was normal, and how functional they were, and happy and healthy. And I learned a lot from them and their experiences. In fact, I think I learned more from them than they learned from me as their doctor. Let me give you some examples. I had a patient named Mr. S. He was a World War II veteran that got drafted when he was 18 years old, and he got sent to Europe. He was literally either running from the Nazis or chasing the Nazis. One day, he was on a trip in a bomber, and his bomber got shot down. It landed at the border of Germany and Holland. He survived. He was able to hide on a farm, and he was able to stay there for a number of months and ended up escaping back to the United States through the Dutch underground. When I met him, he was still very healthy and vibrant, well into his 80s. He was active with his church and still helped out his family in the business that he started doing landscaping. And his sons were taking over the business, but he was still very active and he taught me a lot. I asked him all kinds of questions about what made him different than his fellow soldiers who may be in that hospital bed or nursing home, or worst of all, 6 feet under. I had another patient, we'll call her Mrs. E, and she was 90 years old when I met her. She was also in World War II, and she was part of what's called the Women's Army Corps. She did not go to Europe. She was stationed in the East Coast, and her job was to drive a Jeep around for Dwight Eisenhower. When I met her, she was still doing well, healthy, vibrant, active, and in fact, still had a job working at a local performing arts theater where she would take tickets at the ticket booth and help people get to their seat at the performance. These are examples of people that are living a long health span and are vibrant and are examples of the phenomenon we call longevity in medicine. So, what are those things? Over the years, I've learned that people that are doing well, that are older, subscribe to certain lifestyle changes or lifestyle characteristics that unify them. All of these people tend to do the same things. Let me give you some examples, and we'll get more into it in future videos. But at the core, most of these people eat healthy diets full of fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and lots of whole grains. They also are very active. They are still moving their bodies on a daily basis, keeping their bones, their muscles, and their blood flow active. They are also social. They're taking care of all of their social needs with their family, with their friends. They're busy, they're talkative, they are part of society in a functional way, active members of their church. And they also are good about getting routine checkups through their primary care physician. They go in and get labs regularly, they get their checkups, they get their immunizations. These are all things we know that are ways to keep people healthy, happy, and vibrant well into their older age. So join me on this journey as we learn more about what makes people live longer, have a healthy lifespan, or what we call health span, to have longevity as part of their life, where they're active, vibrant, and social. I will teach you as I learn more on future videos. We'll try to keep the hype out of it and keep it based on what we've learned in clinical practice and what we've learned in research.